Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. A massive win for the Miami Hurricanes last night against the Clemson Tigers. And to me, what it seems and kind of feels like, or potentially could feel like, is kind of a culture changing win for the Miami Hurricanes. We've talked about this team extensively in the season, in the offseason, and our kind of conclusions were this is a team that is extremely talented. A lot of guys on both sides of the football are going to be playing in the NFL. When Miami is playing their best brand of football, not turning the ball over, not committing penalties, playing really good complementary football where the offense and defense are playing good together. This is one of the hardest teams to beat in the country. And you've seen that from Miami earlier this year against teams like Texas A&M. Now, the last 2 weeks, that's kind of been what the opposite of what you've seen, right? Losing the turnover battle, committing bad penalties, playing kind of just sloppy football. What you saw from Miami last night, although it was far from pretty, not perfect, true freshman quarterback starting against one of the best defenses in the ACC, Miami was able to play winning football, and that's what stands out to me the most. So before we get into it, again, just want to say, one, to the Miami fans, thank you to you guys. Every time we talk to Miami Hurricanes, and this is a program I love talking about, you guys always show a ton of love. So if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. More importantly, let's chop it up in the comment sections about this win. Again, it feels different. This one feels special. Really excited to see if Miami can kind of carry this momentum, not only close out this season, but continuing to build under Mario Cristobal. Appreciate y'all rocking with the boys. Let's get into it. And before we get to, I watched it back this morning. I have some notes about the film and some players that were standing out. I want to talk about the important stuff for this Miami Hurricanes team, and that's playing winning football, right? Winning the turnover battle 3-1, that always helps. That's something Miami has struggled with when they lose football games. You look at what this team wants to do from an identity standpoint. They want to run the football, and they want to be physical on both lines of scrimmage. They held a Clemson team that I think is pretty solid running the football to 31 yards, that 0.9 yards per carry. I mean, that front seven for the Hurricanes was absolutely dominating. We'll get into some of the players like Ruben Bain and like Leonard Taylor who were absolutely balling out. Time of possession, 37 minutes to 22 minutes. Fourth down stand at the 2-yard line in overtime. Down 17-7 with the true freshman quarterback and claw your way back to win this football game. Those are the type of things. 9 of 18 on third downs, only holding Clemson to 4 of 14. You take a look at what winning football looks like, not on the stat sheet, right? Kind of those intangibles, winning on third down, winning the turnover battle. That's what you saw from the Hurricanes. And that's what has me so fired up about what you saw. Again, not necessarily pretty on either sides of the ball at times. That being said, when you play winning football, when you win the turnover battle and do all those things we just talked about, you're going to win the game, especially when you're as talented as the Miami Hurricanes. That's my largest takeaway, is that this team played winning football last night, especially when it mattered in the fourth quarter, down 7 or down 10 with 12 minutes to go in this game with the true freshman quarterback, and they win this football game. For Miami fans, again, you have to be just pumped about getting this win, battling back. And we said the next couple of weeks after that Georgia Tech loss, it's going to be a gut check. It wasn't pretty against UNC. They got it done against Clemson, and this could be one of those games that kind of changes this season and kind of maybe this program around, because you know the talent's there. Now you just got to put it on the football field. Getting into what you saw in the film, you have to start with the defense, specifically in that front seven. We're going to talk about a guy we talked about a ton in the offseason. You know I'm kind of a recruiting nerd. Ruben Bain coming out of Miami Central. I mean, he's taken this program in college football by storm the second he enrolled with Miami in January, right? You heard his freakish numbers in the weight room. Then you heard about his freakish performance in spring practice. Then you heard in fall camp, he's really coming on. And he starts to get his feet wet the first couple games, and you're saying, like, this guy's got to play more. He is now, in my opinion, probably the best player on this Miami Hurricanes defense. And that's saying a lot, because you have guys like Leonard Taylor, Cam Kitchens, who will be playing in the NFL probably next year. And Ruben Bain seems to be the leader in this room. And kind of worth noting, this is a guy that's won a ton of football state championships at Miami Central. He's got that winning culture. And as a true freshman, maybe bringing that winning culture to the Miami Hurricanes. So you saw how upset this dude was when he lost these last couple of games. He's not used to losing. He might have lost more this year than he did the last 2 years of high school football. So Ruben Bain, It can't talk enough about how dominant he's been as a true freshman. 2 sacks, 2 quarterback hurries, one on 25% of his pass rush win rates. This dude is a menace to opposing offenses. It starts with Ruben Bain. Leonard Taylor also, I think, probably his best game of the season. And again, a guy that bumping his head up against being an elite interior defensive lineman. I thought yesterday he kind of showed how good he really can be. And when you have a guy like Ruben Bain and Leonard Taylor up front, like it just makes your defense so much good because you got two guys who just are elite getting after the passer, elite, both of them. As much as we talk about them getting after the passer, both were elite against the run as well. Massive performances by them. Again, the defense as a whole in the front seven, Clemson had 34 carries, amassed 31 yards. 0.9 yards per carry. Will Shipley, one of the best running backs in the ACC, had what? I believe his final stat line, it says 15 carries for 44 yards. Dominant performance. You had 5 sacks, 10 TFLs. Front seven got after and continuing with the front seven. I mean, the linebacker play, a position group that I was very critical of the last couple of years for Miami. I mean, you knew Francisco Mauigoa was that guy. Corey Flagg, I mean, not only the play at the end of the game, but he was phenomenal all game. And a guy that I was pretty critical of in the offseason being like, they probably brought Maui Noah in to maybe take Corey Flagg's spot. Corey Flagg Jr., I mean, played really, really good in the secondary. If you were at a party last night and just watched the box score and saw Cade Klubnik throw for 314 yards, you'd assume it was a bad night. It wasn't perfect in the back end. You saw some missed assignments. That being said, a lot of those passes they were able to complete, I mean, it was just good on good, right? Some of those wide receivers, Jake Bringeswell made a phenomenal catch in that 32-yard touchdown. Like, Miami was in good spots sometimes, and sometimes you just got to tip the cap to the opposing offense. This is a very good Clemson team. They made some plays, but I thought on aggregate that secondary was really, really good as well. Now, getting to the offense, this was a defensive win, right? I think Miami just dominated and kept them in this football game on defense. The offense, right? You're down your veteran quarterback and Tyler Van Dyke, and I get a lot of people were excited about Emory Williams and the stuff you heard from the true freshman kind of coming out of fall camp and the stuff you saw on spot duty, right? Emory Williams will be a good quarterback for Miami. This was a tough matchup, and when I saw the news that Emory Williams was going to start a couple hours before kickoff, could you name a tougher defense to make your first career start? At least it was at home, but this is a Clemson defense that, again, I think is a top 15, maybe top 10 unit in the country. Emory Williams, I thought Shannon Dawson did a really good job kind of maybe sheltering him a little bit and getting the ball out quick because this is a Clemson front seven that's really good. He ends up finishing 24 of 33, 151 yards and a touchdown. Threw that pick at the end of the half where he was trying to make a play kind of towards the end of the half. Thought Emory Williams was solid. He wasn't great, right? I mean, the explosive passing game simply wasn't there. And if Tyler Van Dyke plays even close to his potential, you're probably winning this game a little bit more comfortably. But when you factor in Emory Williams starting against the Clemson Tigers and coming out with the win, you have to be really excited about what you saw. My point of emphasis, though, and Emory Williams, solid game. Nothing phenomenal, but looked like a true freshman out there. That offensive line, really good. I mean, 0 sacks, only 4 quarterback pressures given up all game. This is against the Clemson front seven, specifically on that defensive line that's got 6 or 7 guys that'll be playing in the NFL in the next couple of years. And I thought Miami's offensive line did a phenomenal job keeping Emory Williams clean. I thought Shannon Dawson did a really good job when he was going to drop back with Emory Williams. We got to get the ball out quick. Some screens, some easy reads for him. That was a really, really bright spot for the Hurricanes. Now, the run game, this was a one-dimensional team for 3 quarters, right? Like, it was no secret Miami wanted to run the football, and they didn't do a great job of it against a really good Clemson front seven who was loading the box because they knew Emory Williams wasn't going to drop back and beat Clemson through the air. It was a slow burn, but you saw the best, and you talk about winning football, being able to run the football to close out games late in the fourth. Like, when Miami was running their best, you had Brashad Smith kind of crank out that 80-yard touchdown run. I thought they were running their best towards that fourth quarter, right? Grinding teams down. And that's kind of what the identity of Mario Cristobal wants to implement. I thought they did a really nice job. Jay Allen, Don Chaney running the rock really hard. Wide receivers, I mean, Colby Young made some massive plays, and Nate Wiggins was matching up on him most of the time. And Colby Young came up big a few times. Nate Wiggins from Clemson, probably going to be a day 1 pick this year in the NFL draft. And Colby Young made some really big plays that not a lot of wide receivers in the past would make. I mean, this wide receiver core with Jacoby George, Kobe Young, Xavier Restrepo, it's good. You saw Ray Joseph have a nice little punt return too. Part of what you're so excited for the Miami Hurricanes is you're starting to see some of the young guys, right? Mario Cristobal brought in a phenomenal 2023 class. And what we were saying in the offseason is this is the fundament or kind of the base of the fundamental structure of what this team will be, that 2023 class. And you're seeing some of those guys really play some good football, right? Maui Noah starting at left tackle. He's starting to come into his own. Ruben Bain is an absolute freak. You saw Riley Williams catch a few passes. Mark Fletcher is going to be a good running back. You're a Miami Hurricanes fan and you're looking at the youth on this roster. You're seeing a lot of those guys step up in meaningful ways. Again, not pretty, but you were able to beat a team that you haven't beat in a very long time at home. Mario Cristobal gets his first home win in the ACC. This is a team that needed to kind of figure out and learn how to win these close games, win when it matters most. And this goes a long way in kind of establishing that winning culture. This is a team that hasn't won a lot of these games in the last couple of years. And there's getting a taste of that, getting the belief that you can do that when it's close. I think that means more than anything you saw from particular players, that winning culture being implemented. I'm fired up for this team. Again, we've said it, and I'll say it again real quick before we close it out. It's a Miami Hurricanes team that can beat almost anybody in the country with the talent they have. Now it's about putting it out on the fields on Saturday, playing really good football on the offensive. And when this team is playing good on offense and defense in the same game for 4 quarters, not turning the football over, not committing penalties, this is a team. There's not many teams that Miami can't beat in this country. And so if you're a Hurricanes fan, I get frustrating last couple of weeks, but a massive win for Miami. I'm fired up for this program. Appreciate you guys rocking with the boys again. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, Miami fans. I'm fired up. Appreciate y'all rocking with us, and we'll talk to y'all later.